Let me tell you something extraordinary. Something that most people never discover in their entire lifetime. You and I are the architects of our own destiny. Every single thought we hold in our minds, every belief we nurture, every image we visualize, becomes a brick in the foundation of the life we are building, whether we realize it or not. Now imagine for a moment you wake up one day, not as a victim of circumstances, not as a wanderer in the dark, but as the master of your own fate, the steering wheel of your life firmly in your hands. That, my friend, is not fantasy. It's reality for the man or woman who understands my greatest secret. We become what we think about. Most people drift through life like ships without rudders. Reacting, waiting, surviving. They let outside forces dictate how they feel, what they do, and who they become. But you can choose differently. You can take command of your own mind, and in doing so, take command of your world. The mind is a powerful instrument. It will produce for you anything you demand of it, as long as you believe it, and work toward it with faith and consistency. To take control of your life, begin with this realization: you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the sum total of your thoughts right now. If you think poverty, you attract poverty. If you think abundance, you attract abundance. The human mind doesn't care what seeds you plant. It will return whatever you sow. So plant carefully. Plant courage, determination, and success, and watch as life begins to reflect those very qualities back to you. Decide now, this very moment, what you truly want. Not what others expect of you. Not what you think you should settle for. But what sets your soul on fire. Write it down, hold it before your mind like a shining star, and let every action, every decision, every day move you closer to it. The man with a goal always knows where he's going. The man without one will drift endlessly, wondering why life seems so uncertain. Now comes the test: discipline. The dreamer who does not act remains asleep. Every day move forward, even if only an inch. Take small, consistent steps toward your dream. Success is not the explosion of one great act, but the quiet, daily rhythm of progress. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You cannot predict the storm, but you can prepare your mind to endure it. Finally, remember this: you already possess everything you need to create your dream future. The strength, the intelligence, the imagination, the persistence, they are all within you, waiting to be used. The only limits that exist are the ones you accept. So think greatly, believe deeply, act boldly. Because life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. And when your thoughts, your faith, and your actions move in harmony, the world itself bends to your will. There is a quiet moment in every person's life when they stop and ask themselves a simple but powerful question: is this the life I truly want? Most never answer it honestly, because it demands courage. The courage to look within, to examine not what the world has given us, but what we have accepted from it. The truth is, the life you are living at this very moment is not a matter of chance or luck. It is the sum total of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your choices. Every circumstance, every success, every disappointment, all of it began as a single thought, planted deep in the mind, and nourished through repetition and emotion until it became reality. What separates the ordinary from the extraordinary is not intelligence, not privilege, not opportunity, but awareness. Most people walk through life half asleep, believing that life happens to them. They blame their surroundings, their upbringing, their luck, or the economy for their condition. Yet, the rare few who awaken to the truth understand that life does not happen to us, it happens through us. The mind is the instrument that shapes experience. Whatever picture you hold before it with clarity and conviction, it will create in the physical world. The mind is not a servant of fate. It is the very engine that drives it. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a fertile field. Whatever seed you plant in it will grow. If you plant seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation, your life will bear the fruits of those very things: anxiety, hesitation, and mediocrity. But if you plant seeds of faith, purpose, and determination, you will harvest confidence, progress, and achievement. The field does not care what you plant. It simply returns to you what you have sown. The problem is that most people scatter weeds and then cry when they see no flowers. They let television, gossip, fear, and worry sow the seeds for them, and then wonder why life feels so empty. To take control of your life, you must first take control of your thoughts. That is where all creation begins. Thought is the cause, and life is the effect. If your thoughts are negative, your experiences will mirror that negativity. If your thoughts are constructive, positive, and directed toward purpose, your life will begin to align with them in astonishing ways. You cannot think defeat and expect victory. You cannot dwell on scarcity and attract abundance. The law is precise, unchanging, and impartial. You will become what you continuously think about. The first act of mastery, then, is awareness. Become aware of what occupies your mind throughout the day. Are your thoughts empowering or draining? Are they focused on possibilities or limitations? Every great change begins when you decide to guard the doorway of your mind, to no longer allow anything unworthy of your future to take root there. For every negative thought, replace it with one that serves your goal. It may not feel natural at first, but neither does steering a ship for the first time. With persistence, your mental compass begins to align with your desired destination. Consider how much energy we waste on worrying about things that never happen, or criticizing what we cannot change. That same energy, if redirected, could transform your life. Energy follows attention. Whatever you give your mental focus to will expand, so focus deliberately. Think of the person you wish to become, not vaguely, but with detail, color, and emotion. Picture it vividly, speak it aloud. Believe it as though it were already real. Because to the subconscious mind, imagination and reality are one and the same. What you repeatedly visualize with emotion becomes accepted as truth, and once accepted, it begins to express itself through your behavior, your attitude, and eventually your results. Understand this: control does not come from force, it comes from understanding. The world around you is neutral. It will reflect whatever image you project upon it. If you see life as a struggle, it will struggle against you. If you see it as a school, a place for growth and mastery, it will teach you precisely what you need to know. You cannot change the seasons, but you can prepare for them. You cannot stop the rain, but you can learn to dance in it. The power to choose your response, your mindset, and your focus, that is true control. Every invention, every discovery, every success story that has shaped history began in the mind of someone who refused to think small. The Wright brothers did not build an airplane because they were engineers. They built it because they dared to believe it could be done. Edison did not create the light bulb because failure never visited him. He succeeded because he refused to allow failure to define him. Greatness begins with an idea, nurtured through faith, and brought to life through persistent action. If you wish to create your dream future, start with your thoughts. Examine them as a gardener examines his soil. Remove the weeds of doubt and fear, and plant only what you wish to grow. Speak positively. Act with confidence. Visualize your success daily. Hold fast to your vision when others laugh or doubt, for they are still prisoners of their own limited thinking. You are building something greater, a life of design, not of default. And one morning, when you awaken to see the fruits of your disciplined thought and action, you will realize something profound. You were never meant to live by chance. You were meant to live by choice. You were meant to create, to design, to command your future. And it all begins with the simplest, most powerful decision of all: to take control of your mind, and therefore your life. There comes a time in every life when drifting is no longer enough. When the daily routine, the endless repetition of waking, working, and waiting begins to feel like a slow surrender. Most people never escape this cycle because they never decide what they truly want. They live by default, not by design. But the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of mastery is a single powerful word: purpose. The moment you discover your purpose, the fog of confusion begins to lift, and life takes on a new clarity. Each day becomes part of a larger pattern, each action a deliberate step towards something meaningful. Purpose is the compass of the human spirit. Without it, we are like ships at sea, moving with the tides but never toward a destination. With it, even the roughest waters cannot break us, because we know where we are going. A person with purpose wakes each morning with direction. He may not yet have the entire map, but he knows which way is forward. And that, more than anything else, determines success. Think about how easily people are swayed by the opinions of others. One day they are chasing a dream. The next, they have abandoned it because someone laughed, or because the road was longer than expected. This happens because their desires were not anchored in purpose. A purpose-driven person cannot be moved so easily. Their vision is not built on the shifting sands of approval or convenience. It stands upon the solid ground of conviction. When you have a purpose, criticism becomes background noise, obstacles become teachers, and time itself becomes your ally. To find your purpose, you must look inward, not outward. The world will offer you endless distractions, possessions, comparisons, trends. But none of these will satisfy the deeper longing of the heart. True purpose arises from understanding your unique gifts and aligning them with something greater than yourself. Ask yourself, what can I give? What value can I create? What problem can I help solve? The answer to these questions reveals not just a path to personal success, but a reason to wake up with energy and pride each morning. Purpose transforms effort into fulfillment. Two people may do the same job. One drags through the day counting hours, while the other moves with quiet enthusiasm, because he sees meaning in what he does. The first works for survival, the second works for growth. And it is growth, not survival, that gives the soul its vitality. When you are working towards something that matters deeply to you, fatigue becomes less painful, challenges become stimulating, and even failure feels like progress. Without purpose, people waste their greatest treasure, time. They spend it reacting to life instead of directing it. They chase comfort and wonder why they feel restless. They wait for opportunity instead of creating it. But once you know your purpose, your time gains value. Every minute becomes a tool. Every decision becomes a brushstroke painting the portrait of your ideal future. You stop measuring life in years and start measuring it in impact. Purpose also brings discipline. When you have something worth fighting for, you no longer need to force yourself to act. Action becomes natural. You rise earlier, focus longer, and push harder because you see the connection between today's choices and tomorrow's rewards. You stop making excuses, not because you've become perfect, but because excuses have no place in the life you've chosen to create. Purpose gives power to willpower. It turns ordinary people into creators, dreamers, and leaders. Do not wait for perfect clarity before you begin. Purpose does not arrive fully formed. It unfolds as you take the first steps. A traveler rarely sees the whole road from where he stands, but as he walks, the next stretch appears. Begin where you are, with what you have, and commit to moving forward. Each day, your purpose will become clearer, your confidence stronger, and your direction sharper. Understand, too, that purpose does not mean ease. In fact, it will often demand more of you than comfort ever could. But that is the beauty of it. Through the struggle, you grow. Through the pursuit, you evolve. The mountain tests you, but it also strengthens you. And when you finally stand on its peak, looking back at the path you climbed, you will know that every hardship was a sculptor shaping your best self. Purpose gives life its meaning, and meaning gives life its strength. When you know why you are here, you no longer fear failure, because you understand it as part of the journey. You no longer envy others because you are walking your own road. You no longer wander aimlessly because you have direction. Purpose transforms existence into experience, time into progress, and desire into destiny. So decide today that you will no longer drift. Decide that your life will be driven by intention, not inertia. Search within until you find that burning reason, that deep conviction that makes effort feel like joy. Because when a person moves with purpose, the world makes way for them. They become magnetic. Their energy commands respect, their focus inspires others, and their results speak louder than words. Purpose is not found in books or lectures. It is found in the quiet recognition of what you were born to give. And when you discover that, you discover the power to take control of your life and begin shaping your dream future, one deliberate step at a time. There is a law that governs every achievement, every success, and every great life ever lived. It is simple, yet it is the one thing most people overlook. Nothing happens without consistent, disciplined action. The dreams you hold, the goals you imagine, the future you long for, they will remain only visions unless you bring them into motion through deliberate effort. Thought is the seed, but discipline is the soil in which that seed takes root and grows. Without it, the most brilliant ideas wither before they ever see the light of day. People often speak of success as if it were luck or a sudden burst of inspiration. But success is never sudden. It is the result of small, often unseen efforts repeated day after day. Discipline is the bridge between intention and realization. It is what turns desire into progress and progress into mastery. Anyone can dream of a better life. Few are willing to do the work required to create it. But those who are willing to discipline themselves discover that control over one's actions leads to control over one's destiny. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is the art of doing what must be done, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. It is the ability to act on your commitments rather than your emotions. When you are driven by feeling alone, your actions will be inconsistent. Enthusiasm one day, hesitation the next. But when you are guided by discipline, you act with purpose no matter how you feel. And this is where true freedom begins. Because while most people are slaves to their moods, the disciplined person commands them. Every great achievement begins with a routine, a set of deliberate habits built through repetition. The painter improves with each stroke of the brush. The writer sharpens his craft with each sentence. The athlete refines his form with every practice. They do not wait for inspiration. They create it through consistency. The key is not in doing great things once in a while, but in doing simple things well, over and over again, until excellence becomes a reflex. Success is a habit, and like all habits, it must be cultivated through patience and persistence. Discipline demands sacrifice, and sacrifice is the proof of desire. You cannot reach for your dream with one hand while clinging to comfort with the other. The path to greatness requires the courage to give up what is easy for what is meaningful. There will be days when you feel tired, when progress seems invisible, when doubt whispers that your effort is wasted. Those are the moments that define you. Because every act of discipline, no matter how small, strengthens your character. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation of confidence. The secret to building discipline is not in doing everything at once, but in doing something every day. Start small. Choose one habit that aligns with your goal and commit to it without exception. Whether it's reading for 10 minutes, exercising, writing, or saving a small amount of money, do it daily. The power of repetition will work in your favor. Over time, what once felt difficult will become effortless. The mind adapts, the body adjusts, and what was once discipline becomes your new normal. There will be moments when no one sees your effort, when there are no rewards, no applause, and no visible progress. In those quiet hours, discipline is forged. The world rewards those who can persist without recognition, who can continue walking when the path is lonely. Because the truth is, discipline is not glamorous. It is often dull, repetitive, and demanding. But hidden within that monotony is transformation. The person who stays consistent becomes unstoppable, because he has mastered the hardest skill of all, the ability to command himself. Procrastination is the great thief of dreams. It disguises itself as logic. It tells you there will be a better time, a better mood, a better circumstance. But that time never comes. The perfect moment does not exist, there is only now. Those who wait for motivation waste their lives in preparation. Those who act with discipline, even when they don't feel ready, make progress while others hesitate. Action generates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Each step forward strengthens your belief that you can take the next. Discipline also creates structure, and structure gives life direction. Without it, days blur together, effort scatters, and focus fades. But with structure, every hour becomes intentional. You begin to measure your time not by how busy you are, but by how effectively you are moving toward your goal. The disciplined life is not rigid. It is ordered. And within that order lies tremendous freedom. For you no longer waste energy on confusion or indecision. You know what must be done and you do it. In the end, the disciplined individual understands a profound truth. Success does not belong to the most talented, the most educated, or even the most intelligent. It belongs to the one who endures, who shows up every day, who chooses consistency over comfort and effort over ease. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build choice by choice, day by day. And once you possess it, no setback can defeat you, no failure can define you, and no goal will remain beyond your reach. The imagination is the workshop of the human mind, the quiet chamber where all dreams are born. Long before a building stands, an invention functions, or a life is transformed, it first exists as an image, invisible, yet powerful, taking form within the boundaries of thought. Every great achievement humanity has ever known began not with tools or money, but with belief. Belief that what does not yet exist can one day become real. And that belief, when held long enough and fed with purpose, becomes the blueprint of reality itself. What most people fail to understand is that imagination is not a childish fantasy. It is the most practical instrument of creation. Everything you can touch, wear, or use began in the invisible realm of the mind. The chair you sit on was once a sketch. The device in your hand was once a vision. The house you live in began as an idea. Thought precedes action, and imagination is the architect of thought. When you dare to imagine something greater for yourself, a better life, a stronger body, a freer mind, you give the universe a pattern to follow. Belief is the force that gives that pattern power. Without belief, imagination is merely daydreaming. The difference between a dreamer and a creator is faith, unwavering, disciplined faith that what one envisions will manifest through action and perseverance. The mind accepts as truth whatever it is told with conviction. It does not distinguish between fact and fiction, only between certainty and doubt. And so, those who feed it with positive, clear images of their future gradually shape themselves into the kind of people who can live that future. Faith is not blind optimism. It is understanding a law as real and precise as gravity. You become what you consistently and emotionally believe to be true. When you believe in your limitations, they grow stronger. When you believe in your power, it expands. You do not attract what you wish for, you attract what you expect. The person who expects failure will unconsciously act in ways that bring it about. The one who expects success walks, speaks, and works with an energy that invites it. Life mirrors belief. Whatever you hold before your mind with persistence becomes the scenery through which you move. The act of visualization is the daily practice of aligning thought with belief. To visualize is to rehearse your future in advance. It is to see, hear, and feel the experience you desire until your subconscious accepts it as familiar. The mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. And that is where your power lies. When you picture yourself succeeding, growing, speaking confidently, living fully, you are training your brain to operate at that level. You are programming it to act in harmony with the image you hold. This is why the greatest performers, leaders, and creators in every field make visualization a habit. They close their eyes and see themselves executing perfectly, overcoming challenges, achieving their goals. They live their victories mentally before they live them physically. And when the moment arrives, their minds do not see it as new. It is simply the next natural step in a process they have already mastered. The world calls it luck, but it is simply mental preparation meeting opportunity. To harness this power, you must first control what enters your mind. The imagination is fertile soil. It will grow whatever seeds you plant. If you fill it with fear, doubt, and self-criticism, it will faithfully return a life filled with the same. But if you fill it with hope, courage, and vision, it will begin constructing that reality brick by brick. Guard your thoughts the way a farmer guards his field. Do not allow the weeds of negativity to choke out the growth of possibility. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind. Nothing enters without your permission. It is not enough to merely think about your future. You must feel it. Emotion is the energy that fuels imagination. When you visualize, engage all your senses. See the details, hear the sounds, feel the pride and gratitude as though your vision were already fulfilled. The more vividly you experience it in your mind, the faster it takes shape in your world. Your subconscious mind responds not to words but to feelings. So speak to it in the language it understands, the language of belief, passion, and conviction. This process demands patience. The oak tree does not sprout overnight, nor does success. You cannot plant the seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. But each day you hold your vision, nurture it, and act toward it, you strengthen its roots. Eventually, it will break through the surface of your life and become visible to the world. The doubters will call it sudden fortune, but you will know it was the quiet work of thought and faith, cultivated over time. Never underestimate the power of a single idea held with faith. It can move nations, transform industries, heal wounds, and lift entire generations. But first, it must move the person who holds it. When you truly believe in something, when it consumes your thoughts and becomes your dominant image, the world begins to rearrange itself around that belief. Opportunities appear where once there were none. People and resources align in ways that seem almost mystical, but it is not magic. It is the natural response of a universe that reflects what you project. So imagine boldly, believe deeply. See yourself as the person you wish to become, not as the one you have been. Act from that image. Speak from that image, live from that image. For as long as your belief and imagination work in harmony, there is no power on earth capable of preventing your vision from becoming your reality. Life operates by a quiet but unchanging principle: what we give to it, it gives back to us. Every thought, every action, every attitude sends out ripples that move beyond our sight and return to us multiplied. The individual who learns to live in harmony with this principle becomes the master of cause and effect, shaping his circumstances rather than being shaped by them. Most people never see the connection between their inner state and the world around them. They believe events happen by luck, by chance, by the will of others. But nothing in life happens without cause, and that cause begins inside the mind of the individual. When your thoughts are disorganized, your life will reflect that confusion. When your emotions swing wildly, your results will do the same. But when your thoughts are clear, calm, and directed, everything in your life begins to align in the same way. The world is a mirror. It reflects not what you wish for, but what you are. That is why those who cultivate inner order always find that outer order follows naturally. You do not chase peace or success. You create them by living in accordance with universal law. The mind is a broadcasting station, constantly sending out signals through your words, your body language, and your energy. Every time you speak of fear, scarcity, or limitation, you strengthen those conditions in your life. Every time you think or speak of abundance, gratitude, and purpose, you amplify those. You are always transmitting, always attracting. The key is to become conscious of what you are transmitting. A positive mental attitude is not simply optimism, it is alignment. It is living in cooperation with the law that returns to you what you consistently radiate. Think of the person who constantly complains about bad luck. Their speech, their posture, even their expression all communicate defeat. And because they continually project that vibration, life obliges by giving them more of what they already expect. Meanwhile, another person with fewer resources but a hopeful attitude walks through life as if success were inevitable. And life mirrors that expectation. He meets opportunities where others see obstacles. He draws allies where others find critics. The difference lies not in circumstance but in consciousness. To change your outer world, you must first change your inner frequency. Gratitude is the most powerful way to do this. Gratitude turns your attention away from what is missing and focuses it on what is present. The moment you begin to give thanks sincerely, not as an empty ritual, but as genuine recognition of value, you shift your vibration. The world seems to open. People respond differently. Ideas come more easily. Gratitude does not change the world directly. It changes you, and in changing you, it changes how the world responds to you. It is impossible to feel grateful and fearful at the same time. It is impossible to feel thankful and resentful in the same breath. Gratitude dissolves negative emotion and clears the mind for creative thought. When you make it a daily habit to pause each morning and appreciate your opportunities, to reflect each evening on what went right, you strengthen a magnetic force that draws more good into your experience. The person who walks in gratitude lives in abundance even before abundance appears. Every cause carries its effect, and every action carries its consequence. This law applies to attitude as much as it does to behavior. The energy you bring to each day determines what that day returns to you. If you approach your work reluctantly, the results will reflect that reluctance. If you approach it with enthusiasm and excellence, even the most ordinary task becomes a seed of success. There is no such thing as insignificant effort. Every moment, every thought, and every word sets something in motion. You may not see the results immediately. Cause and effect are often separated by time, but they never fail. The seeds you plant today determine the harvest you will reap tomorrow. Plant carelessness and you harvest regret. Plant effort and integrity, and you harvest prosperity and peace. That is why wise people guard their thoughts, measure their words, and act with purpose. They understand that every gesture, no matter how small, has power. Your relationships follow the same principle. The energy you bring to others returns to you. When you give encouragement, you invite encouragement. When you offer understanding, you attract understanding. When you show kindness, the world reflects kindness back to you in ways you could never predict. But the reverse is also true. If you sow criticism, jealousy, or bitterness, they will come back multiplied. You are never punished for your actions. You are punished by them. Likewise, you are never rewarded for your actions. you are rewarded by them. This principle extends to the way you view challenges. Every difficulty carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. When you respond to adversity with patience, faith, and resourcefulness, you unlock that benefit. When you respond with anger or despair, you block it. The event itself is neutral, your reaction gives it meaning. That is why two people can face the same setback and emerge with completely different results. One broken, the other strengthened. The difference lies in how they choose to interpret and respond to what happens. Life is not against you. It is a perfect mirror, reflecting exactly what you project upon it. You cannot fool this law. You cannot curse the ground and expect flowers to grow. You cannot harbor resentment and expect harmony. But when you fill your heart with positive intent and your mind with constructive thought, life responds with abundance, opportunity, and joy. The ripple you send out comes back to you not because of luck, but because that is the way the universe is designed to work. So guard your thoughts, elevate your emotions, and act with integrity. Remember that every word you speak, every decision you make, and every emotion you nurture is shaping not just your present, but your future. You are the cause, life is the effect. And when the inner world is disciplined, peaceful, and grateful, the outer world must by law follow suit. There is a moment, sometimes quiet and unnoticed, when everything you have thought, believed, and done begins to come together. It is the moment when you start to see the connection between your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and the results of your life. It is not sudden success or luck that brings this realization, but the slow awakening to a truth that has always been there. That you have been the author of your own story all along. The direction of your life has never been written by circumstance. It has been written by your response to it. When a person finally understands this, everything changes. They stop waiting for things to happen and begin creating them. They stop blaming others and begin taking responsibility. They stop wishing for change and become the change itself. That shift, from reaction to creation, marks the true beginning of mastery. It is the point where a person ceases to be a passenger and becomes the captain of their ship. The storms may still come, but they no longer determine the destination. You can see this transformation in those who have decided to live consciously. Their faces are calm, not because their lives are free from difficulty, but because they understand that calmness itself is strength. They have learned that no situation can truly defeat them unless they surrender their own control over thought. The world will test you. It will challenge your patience, your discipline, and your courage. But the power to rise above every test lies within you, not in chance, not in others, but in your ability to govern your inner world. There is immense strength in self-control. To rule your mind is to rule your world. Most people are ruled by their emotions. Anger, jealousy, fear, and impatience steer their every decision. They react without thinking, and in doing so, they hand over their power to whatever provoked them. But those who master themselves act from principle, not impulse. They decide what they will think, what they will feel, and what they will do. That decision made again and again builds character, and character, not circumstance, determines destiny. Consider how much of human life is wasted in resistance, resisting responsibility, resisting change, resisting effort. The moment you accept full ownership of your life, that resistance dissolves. You stop fighting what is and begin directing what can be. Responsibility is not a burden, it is liberation. When you realize that your results are the product of your thoughts and actions, you also realize that you can change them at any time. You do not need permission from anyone to transform your life. You need only the courage to begin. The world is filled with people who wait. They wait for opportunity, for confidence, for the right time. But waiting is a form of surrender. The right time is now, the opportunity is wherever you are, and confidence is built only through action. The person who takes the first step, however small, sets a chain of momentum into motion. Action clarifies thought, builds faith, and weakens fear. Nothing changes until you act, but once you act, everything begins to change. Control of life does not mean control of every event. You cannot dictate the weather, the economy, or the behavior of others. But you can always control your attitude toward them. You can choose how to interpret, respond, and grow from each experience. That choice determines whether you feel defeated or empowered. Two people can face the same setback. One collapses under it, the other uses it as a stepping stone. The event is the same, but the meaning is different, and that meaning is always chosen. As you learn to take charge of your thinking, a remarkable thing happens. Your circumstances begin to align with your new mindset. You start noticing opportunities that were always there but invisible to your old self. You attract people who share your energy and vision. You handle adversity with a quiet confidence that others admire but rarely understand. The reason is simple. You are no longer reacting to life from fear. You are directing it with purpose. This kind of mastery brings an inner peace that nothing external can disturb. You may face setbacks, but they no longer define you. You may experience failure, but it becomes instruction, not defeat. You begin to see every difficulty as feedback, every delay as preparation, and every challenge as refinement. What once seemed like obstacles now appear as the very tools shaping your strength and wisdom. You realize that control over life is not about manipulating the world around you, but mastering the world within you. In this state, gratitude becomes natural. You no longer chase happiness. You create it. You find meaning in effort, satisfaction in progress, and pride in perseverance. You stop comparing your path to others because you understand that every life is its own design. The only real competition is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Growth becomes the reward and excellence becomes your habit. Eventually, a sense of quiet power begins to accompany everything you do. You no longer need to prove yourself because you are aligned with your purpose. You no longer fear the future because you are creating it moment by moment. You no longer search for control because you are calm, deliberate, and unwavering. And as this awareness deepens, you come to see that the dream future you once imagined is not something distant waiting to be found. It is something being built right now by the thoughts you think, the choices you make, and the actions you take each day. The person who lives with this understanding does not drift, they design. They do not hope for change, they embody it. They no longer wonder what will happen, they determine it. Life ceases to be something that happens to them and becomes something that responds to them. And in that moment of realization, they stand at the very center of creation, powerful, peaceful, and free. In the end, everything returns to a single truth, that the power to change, to create, to rise has always lived within you. You are not a product of luck or circumstance, but of thought, belief, and disciplined action. The life you desire is not built by chance, it is built by choice. Every thought you hold, every decision you make, every habit you form is a tool shaping the architecture of your destiny. The mind is your greatest ally, your most faithful servant, and the one instrument through which all achievement becomes possible. The path to mastery begins with awareness, the recognition that you are the cause, and life is the effect. It continues with purpose, the clear, unwavering vision of what you truly desire to become. It strengthens through discipline, the daily commitment to action even when motivation fades. It grows through belief, the unshakable conviction that what you imagine can and will become real. And finally, it matures through gratitude and harmony, the understanding that your thoughts, emotions, and deeds ripple outward, shaping not just your own world, but the world around you. Every great life, every success, every triumph of the human spirit has followed this same pattern: thought, belief, action, and persistence. There are no exceptions. You are the artist of your future, and every day is a blank canvas. If you fill it with doubt, fear, and hesitation, it will show. But if you fill it with faith, courage, and purpose, the result will be nothing short of extraordinary. There will always be obstacles. There will always be days when the road seems endless and progress invisible. But remember, success is not a single event. It is a steady accumulation of small victories born from consistency. Each day you choose discipline over comfort, purpose over distraction, and growth over stagnation. You draw closer to the life you were meant to live. So from this moment forward, take command of your mind. Guard your thoughts as you would a treasure, for they are the seeds of your future. Think with clarity, act with conviction, and walk with faith. Live each day as though your dream were already unfolding, because in truth it is. You have within you everything required to build the life you imagine: the strength, the intelligence, the courage, and the vision. All that remains is the decision to begin, and to never stop. The future is not waiting for you to find it. It is waiting for you to create it. And when you finally take control of your thoughts, your actions, and your purpose, You will discover the greatest secret of all, that the key to success, happiness, and fulfillment was never outside of you. It was within you from the very beginning.